everyone. Thank you so much for coming to the second event of the semester, the Alumni panel. Today we'll be joined by some really amazing artists who are all graduates of, Columbia. And next up on our alumni panel is Lily. So Lily, thank you so much for coming and speaking with us today.
Sure.
Would you like to give us a little bit about yourself and where you're working now and like what's going on with your life?
Sure, yeah. So I graduated. Can you guys hear me all right, by the way? Okay. I graduated in 2019, December, and a week after graduating, I got the week of graduation, I was notified that I got accepted for an internship out in California. And so I had a month to plan out moving to California from Chicago, which is a lot. And but I'm somehow made it work and got an internship at Bang Zoom and stayed there for 3 months. And now I'm working as a PA at Wild Brain Studios. And I have been since March of 2020.
Thank you. And what has been kind of the most unexpected part of graduation or post-graduation life?
There's a lot. I think I was culture shocked from moving from Chicago to Los Angeles. But I think one of the biggest things that I didn't think that would affect was when COVID hit, and I guess working remotely was something that I did not expect. But I'm sure that's something that we all have in common, working remotely, going to school remotely, doing these Zoom sessions, etc. But that was a really big thing. I have never gone into my office, actually. I haven't met any of my coworkers in person yet because of COVID. It's all been virtual. Yeah, I think that was the biggest thing, yeah.
Well, I didn't even think about the seniors who like haven't even met their coworkers yet. That's so interesting and unique, and hopefully will be non-existent soon. So going off of what you just said, Henry asked, when you applied for that internship, did you say you were in LA when you applied, or did you say you were willing to move?
So when I applied for my internship, I said I was willing to move, and they were okay with that. Yeah, I didn't have a place to move at the time, but I was like, I'm moving there. I think one of the things that helped me was that one of the other alumni that I was friends with was at that internship, and he was actually working there, Liam Cabayas, and that helped me a lot, as well as Mike. I think he's on the e-board right now. He helped me and encouraged me a lot and got me in contact with the recruiter there.
Thank you. And going off of, this is probably pandemic related, but what would you say the hardest part has been after you graduated?
Yeah, pandemic related. I think what's really important is after you've graduated, you need to make sure you have a strong foundation. Just like financial foundation, you have secure relationships, building a network, etc. Ariel talked about that a lot. It's hard to say because everybody is coming out of their college experience from a different area, and we're all on different parts of our journeys towards our careers. I guess just know that there's going to be ups and downs. It's difficult to break into the industry, but something that you really have to keep in mind is that even if you don't get the job that you want, it's not something to take personal. You just have to keep trying. But yeah, I think.
Yeah, and what's one thing that you wish you knew before you went out to LA?
I wish I had a better hold on personal finance. Managing my own finances, being independent, that's something that, I mean, some of us do know because we've been living on our own during college, but after you're coming out of a dorm and everything, it's a little bit of a shock in that way. Um, there's so much more that you have to take care of, like just taking care of bills and stuff. Um,
And going off of just trying to like learn and we're all growing, what's something you could go back in time and tell your graduating self, or any graduating student?
I think one of the things that you really have to take advantage of while you're in school is networking with your classmates. I mean, you guys are doing a great job right now, um, making connections, but those connections are really going to lift you up and help you move forward as you all progress in your careers. Um, yeah, hold on to those connections, keep collaborating, build up your friendships. It's really important, especially right now when we're all in isolation. Um, there are ways to continue to network outside of college, but it's not as rich of an experience, I would say.
Yeah. And what's a lesson, class, or a teacher that really helped a lot while at Columbia and really just had some great lessons?
Uh, I can think of three if that's okay. So obviously, business of animated content. I had it with Julian Grant. I hope he's still teaching it. Great class. Uh, you come out with a lot of tangible information that you can use with that. APS with Ron Fleischer is awesome. Um, I mean, I wasn't the production manager on our show, but I learned so much about production that I was able to apply towards working as a PA right now. I think that's really great. Regardless of whether you're entering through a production field, it's really important to know all of those things. And finally, um, self-management and freelancing is really, really an awesome class. I highly recommend it. Um, yeah, it's just great for personal finance. It's great for establishing passive income if you're trying to make your own kind of animation related business or art related business. I highly, highly recommend that.
Thank you. I think I saw everyone start writing that down. That's one of the newer um, classes that I think would be really helpful. Um,
Is that
yeah,
worth doing if you're not gonna self-business?
Um, I still recommended it at the time. I had an opening for credits, so I didn't think that could hurt, having that knowledge. I think that it's important to have a plan leaving college, but sometimes stuff happens, events happen, your plans deviate, and just having that kind of back end knowledge is helpful. One of the things that we learned in that class was um, it revolved a lot around networking and finding a good mentor and doing cold emails to find that good mentor. Um, whether that is in the animation field, it might help you. I mean, you don't have to take that class specifically to find a good mentor, but that was a big foundation in that class, and I think that helped me a lot.
By chance, do you know what like discipline section that class is in? Is it like is it in animation
It
or?
isn't in animation specifically. I think it was in. Oh gosh, sorry, it's been like a couple of years.
No, it's understandable. Yeah, I just want to make sure I know where to find it.
I think it was in illustration. It was either in the illustration department or something in that realm. It's still art related.
I will look for it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, for sure.
and you mentioned finding a mentor. Do you have any pieces of advice for doing that? Because I know the Women in Animation does a program like that, or is kind of cold emailing the best way to do that?
I mean, use whatever resources you can get. If you are trying to establish a connection via cold emailing, that works great. There are, like you said, Women in Animation offers that as a service that you could reach out for. One of the cooler things I've seen come out in the past year is Rise Up Animation. I think they are awesome. They do entries for art mentorships like once a month, and you get critiques on your work. If you have to end up taking another class, which I plan on doing, that is also a good way to get mentorship and tips past that class, because having one-on-one mentorship on your work, on if you're working on art, is really, really important. It's a great way to grow past graduation.
Amazing. And here's one from the prepared questions. How do you handle expectations versus reality? And how do you push through when they don't go the way you expected them to?
I think it's important to be realistic with your expectations. Like we've been discussing, it can be difficult to break into the industry, and it's a lot of work. But I mean, if you have a strong foundation, if you keep up and builds the connections for a strong network, then it can happen. Know that there are going to be up and downs, and you will probably get rejection letters, but that's okay. Don't take it personally. Just do your due diligence and try and learn as much from other people's experiences as you can, whether it's through podcasts or videos or graphic novels or books or articles. Learning through other people's errors can help you so much. But yeah, there are actually a number of podcasts that I used to listen to like every day on the commute towards school, and I really recommend checking out some of them. But if you just like Google animation podcast, I'm sure you could find some.
Any good memories of being in Columbia while you were a student?
Really, the best memories that I've had were with friends and building up a community over there. The Animation Association is awesome. I'm so lucky to have worked with a lot of the classmates that I have. Working with you, Helen, is awesome. You're great.
Thank you. That's so sweet. And another fun one is, what's your dream job and what steps are you taking to get there?
When I left Columbia, I really, really was like tunnel visioned into visual development. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to do painting, but the studio I'm working at is actually a front-end studio, and we're doing a lot of storyboarding and editorial, and that's kind of shifted what I want to do. And I think I'm heading towards that direction in feature. Feature is the one thing that's stayed the same. I want to work in feature, but I do want to work as a story artist. And I plan on taking some classes when I can online. Francisco's got a couple that are on the top of his mind. CDA is good. I think there's some that are mentorless if you just want to do video classes, like Schoolism, great for learning storyboards and visual development.
It's so interesting to see how different genres and animation like fluctuates and all that kind of stuff. So thank you for that information. Here's one from Eduardo in the chat. Do you feel secure in being financially stable throughout your career within this industry?
I think working in production, you have more stability. I mean, you get paid pretty decently. Story artists, I don't know if it's different for other studios, but they're typically on contract with us for maybe 4 to 6 months, sometimes a year. My contract right now is for 2 years. So yeah, it's a little bit more stable. This is entertainment, so it's hard. That's why I think it's really important to establish kind of a passive income if you can, whether that is through making commissions, working on short films, something creative that you can to help supplement you in case you find yourself in between work.
Yeah, and another question is getting out to LA, like for an internship or otherwise, before graduating, something someone should strive to do?
It depends on what you want to do. I did this pathway because I wanted to come out to LA. You don't necessarily need to come out to LA if you want to work in animation, but I mean, it is where animation is happening and is big right now here in the States. It's a little bit harder to answer right now because we are in a pandemic and everything is quarantined. A lot of the people I know are working remotely, not in LA, so I know it's a possibility. For our studio and specifically, I think half of our studio is working from LA remotely, and the other half are independent contractors or freelancers, and they're all over the US, sometimes in Canada, sometimes across the world. So it is possible.
Yeah, the next one's from 5. And did you have any internship experience before heading out to LA? And if you did, how does it compare to your current job?
I did not have internship experience before heading to LA. When I moved to LA, it was because I had been accepted to my first internship. I did work on several projects while I was still in school for teachers, and several projects that were not specifically for class or credit. I would still recommend you do those if you're trying to get an internship. Those help a lot. Sorry, I was not an intern before I came out to LA.
Thank you for sharing that, because I feel like with so many people, they have a ton of internship experience before they get their first job. So it's really interesting to see that it doesn't always have to be like that, and there's not one path that every single animator has to stick to. And our next question is from Henry, and Henry asked, is production unionized?
I wish it was from my studio. It's not. I wish. I think I heard there's discussion. I don't remember who I heard it from, but there was discussion on production trying to get unionized, but I don't know where that is anymore.
That started before COVID hit, and then COVID just kind of made everything. I've gone to meetings about it, about how smaller and vendor studios want to start setting up a union through the guild and all that. But
yeah,
I don't know where those talks are at right now. But I think it should happen, actually.
So Paul asked, what's the most anticipated upcoming animated film or show for 2021? I'm assuming your personal anticipated one.
Personally, I don't know. I am excited for Raya and the Last Dragon. That seems really cool.
Has working in animation kind of changed the way you watch animation at all?
Yes, I hate I hate how I analyze everything now, because I'm like, oh my God, that must have been super hard, or the way that things are boarded, or I don't know. Now that I kind of understand how it's made, you start to analyze things a lot more. It's a little bit hard for me to separate that. I still try and watch things for enjoyment, but I'm sure others can attest to that too.
Another thing I was just thinking about is portfolio, not the class, but like development throughout getting into the industry. Have you been, because you said you wanted to do visual development, but now you're doing something completely different. Has your portfolio changed at all? Or do you have any tips for kind of building your portfolio and making it look as good as possible?
I mean, I'm still painting and I'm adding those to my portfolios. But now it's more storyboard based. I think some of the skills are hand in hand, so you're going to want them for sure. For building up a portfolio, I guess find someone that you really admire in the industry and kind of stalk them and find their portfolio, or find an old portfolio that they've made and see where they were when they tried to enter the industry. And you can kind of gauge what you need to do in order to reach that level. Try and be realistic with your portfolio as well. Just keep pushing yourself and learning.
So smart. Do you ever do the trick where you kind of are looking at a company to apply to and then you kind of stalk the other people who actually work there, like on LinkedIn, their portfolios, and see where you compare?
Oh, absolutely. All the time. I still do that while I'm working here. Occasionally I'll meet a story artist or a one of our painters, background painters or designers, and I want to see where they're at in the industry. So I do a little bit of portfolio stalking. I guess if you're in between jobs, something that helps a lot is like, say you don't have a lot of experience in animation yet, but you still want to work in that. Something that helps is saying that also saying, but also doing this, but having a project you can call back on, like a personal project or a personal collaboration. Like if you and your friends were working on a film before, calling back to that is an awesome thing to bring up in an interview. And I mean, even if you don't have that experience either, it's still great to call back towards other skills that you have in other industries. Like say if you're working in customer service, you can still say like, hey, I've been working in customer service. I've been working in this fast-paced environment. And they will like that a lot. If you're working in school administration, that is awesome. Even if it's not technically related to animation, you can still call back to the skills that you've developed and honed while you were working in other jobs. Also, don't do an interview if you're in your car. I have done that before out of the inability to secure a place that is quiet and private for an interview. That is bad.
This may be my Career Center plug, but do you recommend the Career Center? Like, did you utilize their resources? And if they did help, that would be great to know.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Use it for your resumes. It is great for building your resume. Use it for advice for cover letters. The more eyes you can get on your cover letters and resume to improve them, the better. And I mean, if you guys have that resource available to you, reach out and utilize them.
Awesome. Yeah, so everyone who is a current student or 6 months after graduating is still free to use the Career Center. Also, alum can check in on the a fair events. So you don't have to be a student to come to all of them, just for everyone here involved. Well, Lily, thank you so much for coming and speaking with us. It's so great to see you. And I know like a lot of us here, like you were the first CCCA president that we got to like grow up with. So it's really nice to